Hey, good morning, church.
Good morning.
It's so exciting finally to be preaching. Actually, it was a surprise for me that I'm preaching today. Flora called me during the week to find out about something, and then she said, I would like really to give our praise and worship because of the word. And I said, who is preaching? She said, you. She said, you just walked with Brother Daniel, and that's why he did last Sunday, because you asked for a break before the training. And you know, I really enjoyed Brother Daniel's preaching and the boldness he came out with. You remember he said that after my preaching, some of you are going to hate me. And you know, I want to make also a bold statement. After my preaching today, you might dislike Brother Daniel even more. Now that I've taken this bold step, so I guess we can go into preaching. And by the way, I appreciate the Filipino Fellowship very much in the Facebook activity. I believe just a couple more months and I'll know Tagalog. Because they comment everything in Tagalog. So you really have to speak in tongues to understand what they're saying about it. You know what I'm doing? I'm trying to see if my presentation is up or not. And so while this is not exactly my presentation. But today, I wanted to talk to you about how to make my story good. Don't we all want our story life to be good? Don't we want our country story to be good? Filipino guys, do you want your country story to be good? Amen. Okay, let's see how Nigeria is responding to that. That's good, that's good. We all want our story to be good. And you know, despite the fact that we are here in a very mature congregation, I still would like for us to challenge some of the things and review some of the things that we believe in. And if you open the book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 24-27, if you open, or we will find actually the words that were an inspiration for the song, the wise man built his house upon the rock. Right? And by the way, when I chose making the story good, there were a few things that really inspired me. Who of you watched the movie Australia? Yeah, some of you, right? The main character, his name was Drover. I believe that's how he used to call himself. And okay, guys, if I click, it doesn't work, so you have to help me. So Hugh Jackson, at one instance, he said to the question, "What do you want in life, Drover?" He said, "I want my story to be good." You know, when I heard it about 2 years ago, when I watched the movie for the first time, I thought, yes, this is a great title for the sermon. And then this year I was in a conference in Canada. It was in the sunny province of British Columbia, in the city of Kelowna. And the guy there, Michael Goheen, he was preaching and he was talking about history through the lens of the gospel. Guess why I love this preaching? It's through the lens of the gospel. Through the lens. And you know, when we look at our country's history, we need to understand that there are different stories that are being told. And today we'll speak about it and we'll just see more how those stories are being told. And then, of course, there was another thing. We've just finished the training. And in our training, we teach our teachers, would-be teachers, would-be school of tomorrow teachers, about wisdom. And so all those things I thought would be pertinent for us to review. And Flora, I need your help. The wise man built his house upon the rock. Because we want just to... Okay, can you come up here? Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Your help not just singing, your help singing. And we're going to do the wise man built his house upon the rock. Flora is doing a better job, so I'll be doing the action. And you will be doing the action too, with me. Okay? Okay, Okay, let's do it. The wise man built his house upon the rock.
The wise man built his house upon the rock, and the rain came tumbling down.
Okay, let's do it again. From the beginning.
I didn't go to the same school as you guys.
The wise man built his house upon the rock. The wise man built his house upon the rock. The wise man built his house upon the rock, and the rain came tumbling down. The rain came down and the floods came up. The rain came down and the floods came up. The rain came down and the floods came up, and the wise man's house stood firm.
Oh, this is great! But you know what? Not all of us are as wise. And so there are other people. So let's just look at another guy who also was trying to build.
The foolish man built his house upon the sand. The foolish man built his house upon the sand. The foolish man built his house upon the sand, and the rains came tumbling down. The rains came down and the floods came up. The rains came down and the floods came up. The rains came down and the floods came up, and the foolish man's house went splat.
My question to you is, who are you? Wise men. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Okay, we want to be wise people. We want to build on the right foundation. And that's why we need to actually challenge and question some things. And we need to look at some things that we have in our life and in our society. We, by the way, don't you realize that all the time our governments are trying to reform? In Russia, we go through reform all the time. In education, we go through reform all the time. And we need to understand what is the reform. What's it for? Then, of course, all things are happening through education. Who went through a school in this congregation? Excuse me? Okay, Brother Shi, you are a doctor. Raise your hand. Thank you. So we all went through school. So when a story is being told of our state, we get a lot of stuff through education. So we need to question. So how is education working today? How it is inculcating different doctrines into our minds? We need to talk about philosophy. Do you know what? Just in this congregation, there are so many people, and you know what? We all have a different philosophy. We have a different philosophy about marriage. We have a different philosophy about education. We have a different philosophy about management and business and other things. So we need to question what is our foundational philosophy. And we also need to understand what is wisdom. Of course you might say, okay, Dr. Lenz, what are you talking about? The beginning of wisdom is the fear of God. Great. But let us see how we are applying this wisdom in our life. Okay, let's talk a little bit about history. And Neil Postman, he is a missionary to India and a theologian. And he has said that history is our most potent intellectual means of achieving a raised consciousness. By the way, when I'm preaching, you'll realize that I'm writing a dissertation right now. So it'll probably tell in the way of presentation. And he says, how we tell the story will shape the way we participate. You know, it's interesting. So the way the story is being told, there's always an invitation to participate. And there are different ages. If we go just back to the 5th century, through the 14th, these were Middle Ages when something was suppressed. That's just one way of putting it. Then there was a Renaissance. What's Renaissance? Something new, something really exciting, and just people were really great. And then there was the era of Enlightenment. The light of the world came. Who was the light of the world? Industrial Revolution. According to the era, oh, that's Flora, this is absolutely right. That's how you tell your story. You see, there are different ways of telling a story. Some says it is Jesus Christ, the light of the world, but the era of enlightenment, when Isaac Newton was sitting under the apple tree, and the apple fell on his head, and he discovered the law of gravity, as they say. That was the era of enlightenment. That was the era when they said, what is power? What shall make you free? No, they said knowledge. They were saying knowledge. We say the truth. You see how we differently tell the story. But they were saying that knowledge is power. By the way, what is the truth now? What is power now? What they say? Nowadays. Information. Right, they say the knowledge to get knowledge is power. You need to know how to get knowledge. That's what they say today. But anyway, so that's how you can tell the story. But as the result of Enlightenment era, as the result of the Industrial Revolution, we came now into a great time. We came into the time of consumption and consumerism. Julius Core, she was a novelist, actually she is a professor at one of the universities. So that's what she said. Now we live in a culture of work and spend. Okay guys, who works 20 hours a week? Raise your hand.
20 hours.
Okay, 20 hours a week? Or 20 plus hours. So the whole week plus 20 hours, right? That's interesting. That's very unique. So Julius Core says in her study that we could actually have chosen the 4-hour day. Guys, who would love to work for hours? Raise your hand. Okay, the whole Filipino congregation says, yeah! Because you're probably working 6 hours a day. More than that.
Yes.
80 hours a day. I mean a week. Oh my goodness. And she says, oh, we could choose work only 6 months a year. Isn't that great? Brother, she don't think it's great. You know what she says? The only reason why we don't do that, because the era of innovation and production led to the situation where we produce more, we consume more, so we have to earn more money, so we could spend more money. Wow, that's the era that we live in. And you know what? This is shaping our story. Now let me tell you something. It is shaping the story of our life. Okay, another man, Lesslie Newbigin, another scholar, another theologian, he said, at the most basic level, there is a need for critical examination from a Christian standpoint of the reigning assumptions. Because the reigning assumption says the more we produce, the better. The faster we move with our technology is better. So he says we need to question this, because depending how we understand it will determine how we participate today in the history of our countries and how our story is being shaped. Pope John Paul II, he says this: if economic life is absolutized, it means it becomes the pinnacle, it becomes the main thing, then the culture has been weakened. He says if everything is rotating around economics, then, and nothing else is being put, not ethics, not religious dimension, then our culture is weakened. Wouldn't you agree that that's the kind of the culture we live in today? And Jane Collier, another scholar, another theologian, actually she's also a novelist. So she put down this thing: precisely the culture of economism or consumerism is a quasi-religion with a pretense of encompassing the totality of life. It means, guys, you make money, you spend money, it makes you happy. Totality of life of bringing happiness and fulfillment. That's our culture today. That's our culture today. By the way, girls, sometimes when you really don't feel good, what do you do? Shopping! Okay, guys, don't smile. We do the same. Because when we don't feel alright, we believe that this is the time to get a new computer. When we get a new computer, we don't even know all the functions. But it makes us feel good! For a day. You probably can relate to this. Any new thing we buy makes us happy maybe for a day. Even a car. Maybe a new house for a week. But that's about it. And nevertheless, our culture is trying to dictate happiness and fulfillment through consumerism. So the stories are being told in a different way. And I'll go back to this thing. And so we also can notice that every story that is being told invites some hero. And every story that we hear about ourselves or about our country is done in comparison to some hero. So this hero is selected, there's a certain arrangement, there's a certain emphasis, and there's a certain interpretation for this hero. And then, of course, our culture demands that we choose this hero, that we believe in this hero, we have faith in this hero, and we follow this hero, and that's how we participate in the story of our country. And that's how our own story is being shared. Let me ask you this question. You guys have to give more help with the PowerPoint. So my question is, who is your hero? Wonderful. Wonderful. You know, my kids love to watch cartoons. And one day they come to me and they say, "Oh, Daddy, this wonderful cartoon, The Incredible, Mr. Incredible. He's the one. He's the one." Oh, yes, he is. That's right. Jesus is incredible. Right, I'm with you. I'm with you. But they come and they bring another hero. Then they come and they say, "Spider-Man, look at it." Done. 4 criminals. Done. He's the one. And you know, sometimes I'm reading, one day I was reading a fairy tale to my kids. And there's some Russian bogatyr knight. He's just going from place to place. And you know what? I was amazed. I stopped reading this fairy tale to my kids. Because this guy was spending a night with the queen in every place he was staying at. Fairy tale. For children. Laura, for children. For children. I had to stop it. Okay, you take Kornei Chukovsky. It says, "Kids, do not go to Africa." I just, how do I read these stories to my kids? We have better stories. That's right, we have better stories. But we have to question who our heroes are. How we relate to them. What is happening to them. And you know, when I was at school, one day somebody came to our school and he said, "You know what? We need really to know somebody. He's infallible. He's without sin. He loves children. He loves all the nations. He wants peace for everyone. And you need to know." And I was just a 7-year-old boy. So who was he? What?
Jesus.
Mr. Lenin. Mr. Lenin. That's what they said. Those of you who are of age, like me, and you know, I'm a young man of middle age. So if you went through the school in the Soviet time, they came and they would tell you there's a man without sin, the man who loves children, who wants peace among all the nations, who wants to liberate all the working class from capitalism. And that was Lenin. And you know, we were so excited to become small, you know, we would be given a little star. And we would be active like October Social Revolution, so October young person. And then we would move further. We would become pioneers, kind of pioneering, and they would just put a scarlet scarf on us. And you know what? I was so proud. I was so proud to wear it. And then they would say, you move further, you become a Komsomol member. And they give you another badge. And with every badge you get as you move on, there'll be a picture of Lenin. The man without a sin. The man who loves all the children, and so on and so forth. And then when I was in the military, my officer came up to me and he said, Len, you need to join the Communist Party. I said, why? And you know what I said? I'm sorry, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy because I read the code of the builder of communism. And I felt I was not good enough to become a builder of communism. And I said, no. He said, Len, let me tell you something. You're okay, you're all right. But if you don't join, they said, I'm sorry, your career story won't be good. No, I have to say, I was a communist. I was a leader at our university of the Communist Party for all the students. Yes, Flora, find out some truths about me. Flora is asking, why is he preaching to me? If the Lord for Jesus Christ, I would be preaching today. Trust me. But that was the time when, and these are the things that we have to question, and a lot of those ideas, they come through education. So we have to ask ourselves, what is education? By the way, what is education? Indoctrination. Great. Indoctrination. What else? You know, it looks like you've never been to university. We are studying all the time, and when we say, what is education? Like, what is it? Yeah, what is it? What is it? Okay, let me help you. Wikipedia. It says, education in the general sense is any act of experience that has a formative effect. You see, through education we form what? Mind, character, physical ability of an individual. This is great. We want to form the character and the mind. So we want to, as Andrew said, indoctrinate certain things. And we transmit the accumulated knowledge, skills, and values. Okay, here's the word. Deliberately transmits. It means intentionally transmit values from one generation to another. There's another definition that I also like, and this is from the Webster's Dictionary. Education comprehends all that series of instruction and discipline which is intended to enlighten the understanding. Again, when we say enlighten the understanding, we can understand different things, how we enlighten. And it says, correct the temper. Oh, I love it. Correct the temper. Okay, when you don't like something in somebody, how do you react? Oh, I'm sorry, sir, it's not right to do. You're on the metro in the morning, early in the morning, and somebody steps on your foot. What's your Christian reaction? Yeah. Hey, watch where you're stepping! Watch where you go. Well, sometimes, you know, we forget, like Brother Daniel said, you cannot live just Sunday and being a Christian. You have to be a Christian 7 days a week. And somebody steps on your foot. They say once the kids were gathered around the priest who was trying to build something, and he was using the hammer and the nail, and he said, kids, thank you very much for being around, and I know that you've come here for the truth. He said, yes, we want to see what the preacher says when he hammers his finger. So correct the temper and form their manners and habits of youth and feed them for usefulness in their future station. No, it's almost biblical because it does say, yes, that we need to equip ourselves with proper things. And you know, I love this definition of an educated man by Socrates. Who knows Socrates, who he was? Yes, a philosopher and so on and so forth. And if I didn't know that he was not a Christian, I would say he was a Christian. Just look what he says. Whom do I call educated? And try to apply it to yourself. Number one, those who manage well all the circumstances they encounter day by day. How about you? Can you handle well all circumstances, good and bad? Probably tough. If you follow this, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. If we were not leaning on our own understanding, probably we would be able to handle circumstances well. Then he said, next, those who are decent and honorable in their relationship with all men. It's almost like Paul. Decent and honorable with all men. Paul said, I please all men all things because I don't seek my own profit. I'm doing things because I want the good. I want the good news to be told to others. And look at this. Bearing easily and good-naturedly what is offensive in others. How about that? Okay, guys, who live in a dorm? Okay, if your neighbor does something offensive, do you take it good-naturedly? Oh, thank you, you left a mess again in the room. So nice. I'm not saying you have to say this, but how do you handle this? Socrates says good-naturedly and reasonably, and also being as agreeable and reasonable to your associate as is humanly possible to be. This is about your co-workers. This is about your colleagues. And look at this. I really love this. Those who hold their pleasures always under control. Is that us? Is that me? Is that you who is holding pleasures always under control? Or do we give way to some things? And are not ultimately overcome by their misfortunes. And I also love this one. Those who are not spoiled by their successes. Have you known people who got in a position of power and completely changed their Christian attitude? They became the boss, the quote-unquote God in their position, and they want to run your life. They want to run your story. And who do not desert their true self, but hold their ground steadfastly. Is this you? Do you hold steadfastly to your ground, to your values, to what you believe in? Or as Brother Daniel says, we are a good believer on Sunday, but then when the week comes, let's see how it goes. And we can just apply some of the things. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and slander be put away from you, along with all malice, so that we could be in good relationship. And also, flee the evil desires of youth. That's what the Bible says. And Socrates, somehow he is echoing all those things in the Bible in his definition. Our law on education also says that education is a deliberate process of character development and teaching. You know what? Even the secular world recognizes that character development is more important than knowledge and skills. Look at this. This is our secular law on education that recognizes character development. How much more we as Christians should put emphasis on character development. So what is education then in essence? We can say education is life, transmitted from one generation to another generation. And so this life that we transmit from ourselves to the next generation, to people around us, That's the life that actually determines our own story and the story of our country. And so this life apparently has to be of the greatest standard in order for this story to be good. So how does it go here? It depends on our philosophy, which is our worldview, our understanding of what is happening, where it all came from, and a place of a human being in this world. Again, depending how you tell the story about your place in this world, where you come from, where you're going, your story will be different. So what is your philosophy? And then when we talk about reform, look at this. I love this definition from, again, Wikipedia. Reform means to put or change into an improved form or condition. That's clear, right? Can we agree to that? But then look at this. Beneficial change, but more specifically, reversion to a pure, original state. Look at this. Reform is not always doing something absolutely new. They say reform is reversion to a pure, original state. Where is our pure, original state? That's the reform. That's the true reform that can be put into our society, into our lives, so that we could make a true improvement. If only we just go here to a pure, original state, to repair. We all need repair. But depending how we tell our story, we will use different means for these repairs. Restore or to correct. You see, it's very biblical, to restore, to repair, to correct. That's what the Bible says. And so we need to question a few things that are in our life. So what is our, number one, what are our presuppositions? What the foundational things we believe in? Because depending on what we believe in, our values will come out.